Good afternoon, collectors and friends. Wow, what a day, what a week in the hobby we all love. Welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 56. Thanks for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and check out our other episodes of Trading Card Therapy. And if you're actually on our Just Collect YouTube channel, thanks for stopping by. You can also check out some of our collection videos. All right, let's get right down to business. Collectors Universe, i.e. PSA's parent company, has acquired SGC. And there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of talk as to why this may have happened. I'm not going to spend very long on this because every other, it seems like, individual who has a voice has talked about it at length. Maybe it's because Collectors wants to go public. Maybe it's because they want to increase their, hold on the grading landscape at large. Anything's possible. But I'm going to give you some of my thoughts about what I think is going to be happening in the near future. What are some of my questions? And of course, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat, in the comments. I'd love to discuss some of them on next week's episode of Trading Card Therapy. And of course, at the end, I'm going to have a wish list. Short, sweet, but nonetheless, it's what I hope for. And by me, I wish for it on behalf of many collectors, investors, dealers. I'm sure auction houses would appreciate it. All right. My first take is this. You don't know what's going to happen, right? So if you dig SGC, if you dig PSA, just my hot take, they didn't buy SGC to drive prices down on their submissions. So, what I'll be doing this Friday afternoon, shortly after this episode drops, is I'll be gathering together some of my bulk SGC and PSA submissions, at this point separately. Who knows what the future will hold? But I'm going to make sure that I send in my cards. Because I feel like if some people take a step back and they consider, like, we didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. No one dreamt that PSA and or SGC could possibly shut down, but yet it happened. So it's possible that no matter what the reason or reasons are, that Collectors Universe decided to acquire SGC Grading Company. It dawned on me in the last 24 hours, they're likely going to increase the prices for their submissions. When? Who knows? My hot take is get your cards in now, because who knows when they're going to be slammed and just shut the door again on submissions. You know, people have been talking about, is SGC going to go defunct? Or will they be kept as separate brands? I saw Peter from SGC, one of the leaders of their team, come out with a video and suggest SGC will be a separate brand. And I believe Peter is telling the truth as of yesterday. Meaning, anything can happen in business. Things are fluid. Who knows what's going to happen next year, let alone next month. And so once again, even though I'm not going to try to predict what's actually going to happen, I'm going to take a hot shot at letting you know what I think is going to unfold. I think SGC should be kept a separate brand. Maybe eventually it'll be rolled into PSA and there will be no more SGC. But I do know this. Buying high-quality cards will never go out of business, will never be confusing, meaning if you have a high-quality card and SGC holder, I think it's awesome. If you have a high-quality vintage card and a PSA holder, I think that's great. And it is possible that SGC eventually sees that brand name roll up into PSA. I don't love that. I'd like to see it be separate. But I don't want to make the whole show about what I like, what I don't like. But this is what I think. This is a wake-up call for all collectors, for all dealers, for all investors, for all hobbyists that love cards. I alluded to this last week on Trading Card Therapy, episode number 55, and the title of the episode was Grading is an Opinion. So, fast forward a week later, never saw this news coming. Maybe I did, but topic for a different episode. More than ever, this is a wake-up call to educate yourself about how to identify what a high-quality vintage card is. If it's already graded, fantastic. If it's not already graded, that's okay too, because you know there's still plenty of grading companies. But the reason why I'm not particularly worried about what's going to happen to my SGC high-end vintage cards, to my PSA high-end vintage cards, I guess more so SGC, but in either case, because I really focus on trying to buy good, strong examples. And for you, the collector, it might be different. It might be you don't care so much about centering and you really want to focus on razor sharp corners. I'm not judging you. But what I am telling you is there might come a day where SGC's brand ceases to exist. I don't think that'll happen to PSA, but crazier things have happened in the world, right? The point is, do yourselves a favor. And if you're not sure, ask. There's plenty of auction houses have talented card folks on staff like Derek and Lee at Heritage. Brian Dwyer and his team at REA has Bob Luce, and plenty of the other folks out there in the hobby. They're also dealers, including yours truly, the doctor, the host of Trading Card Therapy, can help you in a way that even if I don't own the card, I'll still give you my opinion if I think this card is better or that card's better. But this is my point, getting back to center. I believe more than ever, the wake-up call is that high-quality vintage cards will rise to the top, no matter what grading company. Because people in the know, they're in the know. So if you have a fresh to market, I mean, look, we have some amazing collections that are fresh to market at Just Collect. Check out our blog, hundreds of stories like this over the last number of years. Check out our blog at blog.justcollect.com. We just bought a fresh 1956 top set. We're about to have a collection video and blog go live, how I traveled 100 miles an hour for 60 hours in a row, so 6,000 miles. I did it by a plane, but, figured I'd save that for the second line, to Tacoma, Washington, to buy a massive vintage basketball card collection. But all of that and all of the reasons why you might be listening today are the reasons why we're talking about this. So do yourselves a favor, no matter what grading company you might have an allegiance to before the news of the last few days, get better at educating yourself about what a high-quality vintage card is and how to tell if a card is authentic, if it is centered well, if it has good eye appeal, if it's trimmed, and anything and everything in between. And if you're not sure, send me a DM. I'll be happy to help. These are some of my questions. Please, if you have thoughts, comments, I'd love to hear them. Drop them in the comments section. If you are an SGC loyalist, and by the way, I am an SGC loyalist in that I love that team. Dave and Scott, I've known them forever. What I mean forever, this is a little known fact about Just Collect, my company that's almost 20 years old, believe it or not. You can find us at justcollect.com. We buy, sell, and appraise vintage sports card of every shape and size, literally, and non-sport cards. But my first office, when I left Leland's auction house and I started Just Collect, my first office is I sublease space from SGC. That's right. The grading company that was just acquired by Collectors Universe almost 20 years ago. Very grateful and appreciative of the opportunity and so very happy for them. Congratulations to them and their entire team. So my question is, what do the SGC loyalists being in this case, you only grade with SGC, you don't grade with anyone else, are you cringing at the news? Are you worried that even though Peter and the team at SGC is saying they're going to remain a separate brand, as of today, yes, they are. Tomorrow in the future, your guess is as good as mine. Let me know what you, the SGC loyalist, thinks. Next question is, for Fanatics, what do you think they are going to do? Because I believe and had heard that they were interested potentially in SGC. And if not them, a grading company. So does that mean that BGS is next up? And is that the most logical choice for Fanatics? Should they start their own grading company? Would love to hear your thoughts on it. And speaking of grading companies, not named PSA or SGC, where does this leave the likes of TAG or CSG or ISA or any of the other upstarts? My last question before I get to my wish list. You know, I've been talking now about cards and how important it is to understand what you have and their eye appeal, and not every 6 or not every 8 is equal. Now there's some pop-up companies like MBA. Shout out to Mike Baker, one of the original grading or graders at PSA. There's a purple company. He's got a purple sticker. PWCC had a sticker for a while. I don't know if they still do it. But Collectors is out there acquiring companies. Should they acquire a company like that? The reason why I pose that question, because to me, it's the next logical step for educated collectors, educated investors, educated hobbyists. What about educated finance people that are coming in and they're either starting a fund or they're managing a fund, they want to grow a fund or the investment in it? I think more than ever before, there's going to be a lot of value in potentially the existing companies, or do you think collectors should start their own sticker? In other words, this is a high-end 86 Fleer Jordan 9. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, but I'm going to give you mine right now. I think it's going to become more prevalent than ever. So I don't care if it's a purple sticker, if it's beige, if it's oval, if it's square. I believe that doesn't matter if you have a lot of money, right? People have a lot of money. They still drive their own cars. They don't change their own oil. They don't do a lot of the own things on their cars. So point is they can pick out the car. A lot of people can pick out their own cards. But then they look years later, they're like, oh, I didn't realize that there's a nasty print flaw on the back. Yeah, you got to turn the card over to thing. Joking aside, I believe this is going to help the entire landscape. So please, collectors, I have no stake in this. I don't own any stock, but I would love to see you either acquire or start your own sticker so we can help higher end collectors and all collectors, dealers, investors, and fund managers, and all sorts of folks. Make sure that they understand what the creme de la creme is in vintage sports cards. All right. We're going to wrap it up with a wish list that I have because it looks like it's happening. Collectors is acquiring SGC. In fact, it's acquired them. So, no particular order. I am praying, I'm dreaming, I'm hoping. I think it makes a lot of sense. SGC's pop report hasn't always been the best. Their set registry maybe didn't exist, but then it did, but then it did not. Who knows? Would love to see the two marry and have a universal. When I say universal, let's just start with SGC and PSA. Forget about the other companies for now. But of course, would love to see this universal across the board. Let's get a universal pop report, a universal set registry, and let's really see the technology that Collectors has, and some of it they're of course going to be willing to share with SGC. Let's see what they're willing to do for all of us. Next up, of course, and I believe this is happening already, better customer service. Because it doesn't matter if you're a collector, if you're a dealer, if you're an auction house. We all want, and this is going to go into the next point, our cards faster, more accurately graded. And so I hope those two things, of course, happen. But they're coming out with some really cool, funky features. Like, scan your card from your phone and get it written up for submission super duper fast. I think that's fantastic. Let's see what else they have in store for us. Let me know in the comments if you have some things on your wish list because of this humongous acquisition. And the last thing is maybe a small request, but listen, they're talking big dollars here now. Can we please get some on-site grading at the Philly show, at any other major show other than the National? Because we all love the National, and I'm going again. It's like, I don't even know, my 22nd year in a row or whatever the crazy number is. I hope to see you there in Cleveland. Well, this was fast and furious. Would love to hear any and all of your thoughts, because if you drop something in the comments, I will address it next week on Trading Card Therapy. And with that, this is the 56th episode of Trading Card Therapy. This is the doctor signing off. I sincerely appreciate you tuning in today.